Welcome to the fifth section of this course. The main field of study in this section is going to be unit testing, its benefits, its best practices, and much more. We will begin this course with a theoretical introduction to unit testing. We will then move on to using the Jasmine testing framework to write our first proper unit test. We will then study test-driven development, a methodology that focuses on writing tests prior to actual code. And we will finish this section with an introduction to the Karma test runner. In this video, you will be introduced to unit tests, an often overlooked aspect of software engineering that is nevertheless vital to developing quality software. This video will teach you what unit tests are, what a unit's abstract definition is, and how to write a very basic unit test without using a framework or library, just with plain JavaScript. I keep saying this word, unit. But what is a unit? A unit is the smallest entity in your code that can be tested to its entirety. That can be a function, a class, or a module. Now let's see some of the benefits of unit testing. Unit testing helps you catch bugs early, before you deploy your app or even try it out. If your list of test cases is wide enough to include most real-world scenarios, you are probably covered. Unit testing also allows you to add new features without fear of breaking the current functionality. Every time you add something new, you can run all your unit tests again to make sure that other parts of the same unit or the same application are not affected. Finally, it forces you to write clean code. And that's why we've included unit testing in this course. Testable code is often clean code. It's time for our example. In this example, we will implement and test a function that will calculate the average of a list of numbers. I'm going to create a new file in this npm project. I'm going to call it average calculator, and I will export a function called calculateAVG. Now this function will accept an array of numbers and it will iterate over all of them. It will calculate the sum and then divide it by the number of numbers, by the length of this numbers array. That way we will get back the average of all the numbers that we provide. Pretty simple implementation, so let's do it. I'm going to use the for each function like we learned in a previous section, that it's better, it produces more readable code. It's a functional concept. And after I've computed the sum, I will divide it by the number of numbers. So numbers.length, and this will get us the average of the numbers. Finally, I will export it using CommonJS, and our function is ready. Let's test this functionality. I will create a file called avgcalculator.test.js. This is where the logic of our unit test will be placed. I will import the calculateAVG function from its respective file to the unit testing file. Remember, we're testing a unit. In this case, the unit is our function. So if you had another function or another class, you would need another file. Every test, every set of unit tests regarding the same unit should be placed on its own file. Now, for the purpose of this test, I will create a test array containing just three numbers, 4, 5, and 3. Next, I will call the calculateAVG function, passing in the testing input, and I know that the average of these three numbers is 4. So if we get back the correct result, we're just going to print to the console that the test has been passed. If we don't get back the value 4, it means that the calculateAVG function failed. And we can run this by using node followed by the name of the file. And of course, the test will be passed. Now, what if we pass something invalid? What if we don't pass an array of numbers? what happens if our array is actually null? I will place this inside the try-catch block, and we should expect, this is an expectation from our calculate_avg function, we expect an error like this. An error that's going to notify us that we passed in invalid input. If we get back this error, even though it's an error, the test will be considered passed. If we get any other type of error, the test will have failed. And of course, since we haven't actually implemented this error handling functionality in our average calculator, the second test will actually fail, as you can easily see here. So I'm gonna go back to the avgcalculator.js file, and I will check against null. I will check the array against null, and if it is null, I'm going to throw an invalid input error. That way, if we run the test again, the second test case will also pass. And that's it. This was your first unofficial unit test written in plain JavaScript.